He was at the top of the pop charts in Canberra in the 90s. Before then, he was headed for a possible life of crime. And since then, he's changed his life and those of others through dance and what he calls Culture Break. Kate Evans introduces us to the remarkable Francis Owusu.
Down, slide, sit down, cruise.
Once again, back is the incredible. Once again, back is the incredible.
Yes, Dad.
So we used to dance at the Canberrans basketball, and from that point on, someone said, "Have you ever tried singing?" And we thought, "No, we haven't." And we thought we'd try, and that birthed the performing group 9 to 5, which became a sort of a boy band for the next 10 years. While I was at university, I studied banking finance by day, by night. I was a dancer and performer.
Francis brought something that none of us could bring, and that was his just outgoing, crazy on-stage character he had. Francis could just explode on stage.
Once again, back is the incredible. Once again, back is the incredible.
And I wrote a song called Incredible Love. It was a ballad with up-tempo beat, and that song became a #1 hit on the radio on FM 104.7. I think it was like 8 weeks was #1 when they had the Hot 30 back in those days. And we got popular around Canberra.
I became a little bit of a groupie, and because I was dating him, I thought I was really important. I used to hang back a bit because there'd be lots of girls kind of wanting their autographs and kind of chasing them around, and the phone was always ringing, and it was an interesting time.
At the heart of it, I guess we got to, I remember working with Marsha Hines. I remember she came to our studio, and we was like, Marsha Hines is coming to our studio. Can you believe it?
Well done.
So we recorded, then we did a film clip, and began to perform interstate. I remember one time, this is how big we thought we were as stars in Canberra, when we actually got a limousine and pulled up in Monica and packed. All these kids were there, packed, and we walked up the stairs, and we thought, we've made it, we're stars. My parents were from Ghana, and they were diplomats. My grandfather was the High Commissioner to Australia, and hence why we ended up in Canberra. We had the embassy in Red Hill. My dad was a student and was studying, and so while he was studying to be an accountant, I was born in Canberra, and I grew up in Canberra for 4 years, and then my parents we moved to Victoria, to a place called Geelong, and so I spent a lot of my childhood. Most of my childhood memories are from Geelong. I remember as a young child knowing that I was different, and kids would say silly things like, "Oh, is your blood black? Because you're black," and little things like out of the ignorance, but it was a kind of a derogatory kind of a racial kind of thing, and that made me feel inferior, and I think that carried on a lot into my teens, in terms of feeling that I was a nobody, that I was second class, and that sort of stuff. It really affected the way I saw my outlook of the world. I remember times where my parents didn't have much money and stuff, and for me, mix those feelings of lack of self-worth. I started to get involved with crime and breaking into houses and doing things like that. I had a good friend of mine who had been friends for years, and their family had taken me in and almost made their house my house, and I broke into their house and took money, and that severed that relationship. The relationship was never the same. So by the age of 14, I was developing a criminal record. And what changed that, physically changed that, is my parents moved back to Canberra when I was 15. So it physically took me out of that environment. My parents came home with a yearbook, 2 yearbooks, Sedmonds College one and Amaris College one. And I ended up flicking through both of them. And I ended up flicking through the Edmonds College yearbook, and I saw a photo of George Gregan. And I was glad. I said, I'm not going to be the only African black kid in the school. I want to go there. Hello.
Francis.
Francis, how are you?
Good, how you
Good to see you.
The one thing about Francis, I tell you truthfully, that really struck me was how kind he was. Even then, he was maybe about year 9, it's probably about 16, 17 roughly. He was a really kind young man.
What changed for me, I think, what a significant change was yes, getting some friends, but the significant change was going home one day in year 11 and going past the hall and hearing some music. And it was after school, and so I went inside to have a look, and there were some guys, I guess, having a meeting and doing some practice runs for what we are now as the rocker effort. And then they said, we need extra people, can you come?
As St. Eddie's, we do not have dance classes, but when we were invited to a dance festival, we were glad to accept the opportunity.
And that was such a significant change in my life, because I got involved with a bunch of 22 young guys out of 100 and over 1,000 kids. For the very first time, we'd never done dance before, and here I was a little family of young people who identified with the things that I like to do and accepted me. And then when we did the Rockist effort, and that year we came second, we got validation from the whole school.
I'll never forget the girls screaming. It was a nightmare, absolute nightmare.
And that sort of inward validation sort of stuff changed my whole outlook. And from that point, dance was triggered as a way of showing, expressing who I was.
He goes from being actually sort of quite shy, what I thought, and sort of timid at one stage, to this ball of energy and this sort of extroverted person.
I started to wanting to shift. I started to slowly shift, start to think about, what I've received and how I can use what I've received to help other people. And I think a life well lived is not that you just receive, but you find you're an avenue how you can pour that out onto other people.
And up, and up, and out, and out.
And I began to run dance classes in school, help out at school, and also on the weekends. And that, at the beginning, some people would ask me, what are you doing in school? And I go, I'm just helping other kids and stuff. And I thought, actually, I should give it a name. What am I trying to do? And I thought, I really want to try and break the negative culture that people say you can't do anything, you can't be anybody. So, and I was teaching, a bit of dance and learning to do a break. And I thought, Culture Break. Some people would ask me, what are you doing? I go, well, I'm doing Culture Break in schools. And that's how it started.
Slide across, put your right leg over, and turn.
Sometimes on the surface can just look like it's just kids just having fun, which it is. They do have fun. What's intrinsic is a place to be accepted and a place to belong.
5, 6, 5, 6, 7, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
What I try and do with my classes is not just teach them skills, which is great, because learning skills, learn coordination, learn how to work with people. Dance is such a great way of it's a great teacher of life. I do say dance is life, but I think, using the opportunity to teach things like listening.
What's some of the things important about working in a team? Listening to each other, very important, listening.
Now, in Culture Break, almost a decade later, we sort of have about 300 kids weekly engaged in our classes. We've performed to well over 80,000 people across the nation, from schools, high schools, community centres, jails, all sorts of areas. So it's really grown.
Have a good night. We'll see you next year.
We got married in 2004, and he'd already started Culture Break then, just running complimentary classes. It was a really big thing for us because he'd stopped working to put back into the community, so it was a little bit tricky initially, but the reward of seeing the kids' lives transformed, and even the parents and the emails just saying, you don't know what you're doing for my family and the children, has really made it worthwhile.
Create a lot of noise for those that are going in the jam, yeah?
We don't have the money and he definitely doesn't have the time. Like, he's busy bumper to bumper, but he still makes time for those little things, or telling someone it's worth it, or you can do it. And yeah, I'm really proud. Yes, I'm a bit smitten by him.
High five,
So my daughter's Isabel, she's 3 years old, and my son is Isaac, and he's almost 2. And you know, my wife has just been is the love of my life, and you know, she's been very supportive, you know, of myself and Culture Break, and I was in the group before, so she's seen the whole transition over the years. She started as a groupie, and now I'm her groupie. So, no, I think I'm very blessed with the children I have, and they just got a lot of energy and joy.
That you, Dad.
That's me, yeah. You know, I feel like I'm getting old. You know that. You know, they get to see Daddy, what Daddy used to do on TV, and Daddy used to do, you know, they watch my videos and things that we've done, and you know, now they've started their own journey, starting to dance and perform. But yeah, so one day, hopefully, maybe they'll take over Culture Break.
Hi.
Higher?
Yeah.
Is that too high?
1, 2.